the heart of ancient Egypt, where the Nile gave life to the desert, there once lived a king unlike any other, a god in human form. His name was Osiris. He ruled with wisdom, kindness, and balance, bringing order to a world once ruled by chaos. Under his guidance, Egypt flourished. People learned to farm, to build, and to live together in peace. But where there is light, there is always a shadow. That shadow came in the form of his brother, Set. Set, the god of storms and chaos, watched as Osiris was praised and loved by all. His jealousy grew like a poison, twisting his heart until it burned with hatred. And soon, envy turned to betrayal. What followed was not just the murder of a god, but the beginning of one of the greatest stories of death and rebirth ever told. It is the story of a queen's unbreakable love, Isis, who refused to let death take her husband away. The story of a son, Horus, born from tragedy, destined to rise and avenge his father. And the story of how love, justice, and sacrifice created a divine balance that shaped the very soul of Egyptian belief. This isn't just mythology, it's a reflection of something deeply human, the endless struggle between order and chaos, love and envy, life and death. Because in Egypt, death was never the end. It was only the beginning of another story. Long before the Great Pyramids touched the sky, before kings were buried in golden tombs, the people of the Nile believed their world was shaped by divine forces. To the ancient Egyptians, life itself was a delicate balance, a dance between order and chaos. Every sunrise, every flood of the Nile, every breath of wind carried meaning. The gods weren't distant figures watching from above, they were part of everything. When the Nile rose and watered their fields, it was the gods who blessed them. When storms destroyed their crops, it was the gods who showed their anger. To live in Egypt was to live in the presence of the divine. At the center of this belief was one powerful idea, Ma'a, the principle of truth, balance, and harmony. Ma'a was not a person but a cosmic order. Everything in existence, from the path of the sun to the beating of a human heart, had to follow Ma'a. And the one who maintained this sacred order was the king. But the king himself was not just human. He was a bridge between the people and the gods, a living symbol of divine authority. And the first to hold this sacred power was Osiris. Osiris was more than a ruler. He was the embodiment of life, fertility, and civilization itself. Legends say he brought knowledge to humankind, teaching them how to farm, build cities, and create laws. Under his rule, Egypt flourished. The people honored him not out of fear, but out of love. Beside him stood his queen, Isis, one of the most revered goddesses in all Egyptian history. She was the goddess of magic, healing, and motherhood, a divine protector of the weak, the suffering, and the lost. Her wisdom and compassion made her the heart of the Egyptian pantheon. Where light shines brightest, shadows always follow. And that shadow had a name, Set. Set was the god of chaos, desert, storms, and destruction. Unlike his brother, he thrived on disorder. While Osiris brought life along the fertile banks of the Nile, Set ruled the barren sands, the dry, lifeless lands beyond civilization. To the Egyptians, he was both feared and respected, a necessary force of nature. But jealousy would twist that necessity into something darker. And then, there was Horus, the son yet to be born, the falcon god, destined to inherit the sky. He symbolized kingship, vision, and divine justice. His eye, the Eye of Horus, would one day become one of the most sacred symbols in the ancient world, representing protection, power, and healing. These four, Osiris, Isis, Set, and Horus, formed the heart of Egyptian mythology. Their story was not merely a tale of gods, but a reflection of the human experience, of love and betrayal, death and rebirth, chaos and order. To the Egyptians, their struggles were not just myth, they were the rhythm of existence itself. Because every sunrise, Horus rises. Every sunset, Osiris descends into the underworld. And in the endless cycle of day and night, life and death, the world continues to turn, exactly as Ma'a intended. After the world was formed from chaos, the gods of Egypt divided their realms among themselves. The earth, the sky, the desert, the waters. Each domain was given its guardian. Among them stood Osiris, born of the sky goddess Nut and the earth god Geb. From the moment he came into existence, Osiris radiated harmony and wisdom. He was destined for greatness. The gods looked upon him and saw balance, the perfect image of Ma'at, the divine order that kept the universe steady. When Osiris ascended to the throne of Egypt, the world was still young. Humanity lived in ignorance, wandering aimlessly through the deserts, feeding on wild plants and knowing nothing of cultivation or law. The land was fertile but untamed. It was Osiris who changed that. He taught humankind to sow seeds and harvest crops, to build homes and govern with fairness. He gave them knowledge of writing, so their wisdom would never be lost to time. He taught them the art of worship, how to honor the gods and live in harmony with nature. Under his rule, Egypt transformed from a land of scattered tribes into a kingdom of prosperity and peace. And for the first time, people looked to the sky and thanked the gods not out of fear, but out of love. Beside him stood Isis, his wife and his equal, a queen of divine power and deep compassion. Where Osiris brought order, Isis brought heart. She healed the sick, comforted the mourning, and used her sacred knowledge of magic to protect her people. Together, they ruled as the perfect balance, wisdom and love, justice and mercy, king and queen. The world under Osiris was a reflection of paradise. Crops grew tall and golden. The Nile rose faithfully, feeding the fields and quenching the thirst of the land. Music filled the cities, laughter echoed in the temples, and peace reigned over Egypt. But not everyone rejoiced. Far away, in the burning sands of the desert, Set, the brother of Osiris, watched with envy. He ruled the barren lands where no crops grew, where the wind howled endlessly across the dunes. To him, Osiris's success was a cruel joke, his own brother basking in glory while he was left forgotten, exiled to the wasteland. And in the heart of Set, jealousy began to take root, small at first, then growing, feeding on bitterness. He saw the love the people had for Osiris and felt it like a wound that would not heal. The more Osiris's name was praised, the deeper Set's hatred became. He whispered to himself that Osiris was weak, too gentle, too trusting, too loved. And so, he began to plot. He would not rest until the throne of Egypt was his. He would not rest until the world remembered the name Set, not as the forgotten brother, but as the conqueror of gods. But Osiris, blinded by goodness, saw none of it coming. He welcomed Set into his home as family. He shared his table, his feasts, his celebrations. He believed that love could calm even the storm of envy. But love alone cannot tame chaos. And while Osiris spread peace across the world, Set was preparing to end it. As the golden age of Osiris reached its height, Egypt thrived like never before. The people rejoiced in the blessings of their god Cain. The Nile flowed faithfully, crops swayed under the sun, and temples rose high to honor the gods. But in the silence of the desert, far from the laughter of men, Set watched. The god of storms and chaos, the eternal shadow of his brother, stood among the dunes where no life could grow. And in his heart, envy burned like fire. To Set, Osiris had taken everything, the throne, the people's love, even the favor of the gods. Every prayer offered to Osiris felt like a dagger in Set's pride. And so, the god of chaos began to weave a plan, one both brilliant and cruel. He would destroy his brother not through war, but through deceit. Set began by gathering allies, those who resented Osiris's peace, who found harmony dull and longed for power. In secret chambers they plotted, and at the center of their scheme was a magnificent chest, crafted from the finest cedar, adorned with gold and precious gems. Its beauty was unmatched, but it wasn't just decoration, it was a trap. Set had designed it to match the exact size and shape of Osiris's body. No one else could fit inside it perfectly. Then, one night, under the cover of a grand celebration, Set put his plan into motion. He hosted a lavish banquet in honor of his brother. The air was filled with music, wine, and laughter. Osiris, ever trusting, attended the feast, surrounded by friends and family, unaware that every smiling face hid treachery. As the night grew deeper, Set stood and raised his cup. With a voice smooth as honey, he declared, "To my beloved brother, the great Osiris, may his reign be eternal." The crowd cheered, and Osiris smiled, humbled by the praise. Then Set clapped his hands, and servants brought forth the chest. The room fell silent as the torches reflected off the gold. "Behold this chest," Set announced, "a gift worthy of the gods. I shall give it to whoever among us fits inside it perfectly." Laughter returned to the hall as one by one guests stepped into the chest, each too short, too tall, too broad. It became a game, innocent and joyful. Finally, they called for Osiris. Osiris, with his usual good nature, agreed to try. He stepped inside, and in that instant, the game was over. With a single gesture, Set's followers slammed the lid shut. Iron nails drove into the sides. Molten lead was poured across the seams, sealing the chest tight. Osiris cried out, but his voice was lost beneath the sound of laughter turning to chaos. The room erupted as Set's loyalists overturned tables and scattered the guests. Isis screamed for her husband, but Set's men held her back. And as the torches flickered, Set shouted above the noise, "This is the day Egypt is mine." The chest was carried out into the night, heavy with divine weight. Set and his followers rushed toward the Nile. The river glimmered under the moonlight, calm, innocent, unaware it was about to receive a god. Without hesitation, Set threw the chest into the Nile, and the waters swallowed it whole. For a moment, all was still. Then, slowly, the chest drifted away, carried by the current toward the sea, away from Egypt, away from life. And so, Osiris, the bringer of order, the king of peace, was gone. The people awoke to find their world change. The crops began to wither. The Nile's rhythm faltered. Darkness crept across the land as if the sun itself mourned the fall of its chosen one. Isis wept. Her cries were said to echo through the heavens. She had lost her husband, her king, and her other half. But even as grief consumed her, she swore an oath, she would find him. No matter where the waters had taken him, no matter what it cost. Because love, even when faced with death, does not surrender easily. And so began the journey of Isis, a quest that would change not just the fate of her husband, but the destiny of all life and death to come. The world had fallen into silence. When Osiris was killed, Egypt lost its light. Crops withered, rivers turned restless, and the people mourned their king, the one who had brought order, peace, and wisdom to the land. But there was one heart that refused to give in to despair. His wife, his queen, Isis. Known as the goddess of magic, motherhood, and devotion, Isis was not only powerful, she was relentless. She would not rest until she brought her beloved Osiris back. Isis began her journey across the vast deserts of Egypt, guided only by whispers of the wind and the memory of her husband's laughter. Day and night, she wandered, disguising herself as a poor widow, visiting villages, and listening for rumors of a strange golden chest that had drifted down the Nile. The people didn't know it, but the chest they spoke of was the coffin Set had tricked Osiris into. After sealing his brother inside, Set had cast it into the river, letting the current carry it away. And eventually, it reached the shores of a foreign land, Byblos, in Phoenicia. There, the chest became lodged beneath a great tamarisk tree. Over time, the tree grew around it, enveloping the coffin within its trunk, until one day, the king of Byblos noticed its beauty and ordered the tree to be cut down. He had the trunk fashioned into a magnificent pillar for his palace, unaware that the body of a god rested within it. When Isis finally arrived in Byblos, her magic guided her to the royal palace. But she did not reveal her true identity. Instead, she became a nursemaid to the queen's children, hiding her divinity beneath humble garments. At night, Isis worked her secret spells, burning away the mortal imperfections of the infant prince to make him divine. But when the queen discovered this, she screamed in horror, and Isis, revealing her true, radiant form, confessed everything. She was the goddess of Egypt, searching for her husband's body. The king and queen, in awe, gave her the sacred pillar. Isis carefully removed the coffin hidden inside and held it close, her tears falling onto the wood. For a moment, the world itself seemed to weep with her. For a brief moment, the world seemed to heal. The goddess Isis had found the body of Osiris, hidden within the sacred chest, and carried it home. Her tears had softened the sands of Egypt once more. The Nile began to whisper again, and for the first time since Osiris's death, there was hope. But hope is a fragile thing, and in the heart of Set, chaos burned hotter than ever. Set, the god of storms, desert, and disorder, could not tolerate the thought that his brother still held power over Egypt, even in death. He had murdered Osiris once, and now, upon discovering Isis's miracle, he vowed to destroy him completely. One night, under a blood-red moon, Set went hunting across the marshlands of the Nile Delta. The reeds swayed in the hot wind, and there, hidden among them, he found the chest, the coffin of his brother, carefully concealed by Isis. A cruel smile crept across his face. No prayers could save Osiris now. With fury and hatred beyond mortal comprehension, Set tore open the coffin. Inside lay Osiris's lifeless body, peaceful and intact, as if merely sleeping. For a heartbeat, even Set hesitated, seeing the face of the brother who once loved him, who once called him family. But jealousy knows no mercy. And with a roar that echoed across the desert, Set raised his weapon and struck. He hacked Osiris's body into pieces, 14, according to the old tales. Each stroke of the blade was an act of vengeance, a declaration that order, peace, and life itself would bow before chaos. When it was done, Set stood over the fragments of his brother's corpse, his hands soaked in divine blood. He laughed, a thunderous, bitter sound that rolled through the dunes. Then he scattered the pieces across Egypt, hurling them into the Nile, burying them in deserts, hiding them in tombs, ensuring that Osiris could never rise again. Every fragment was placed in a different corner of the land, from the fertile delta to the burning sands of Upper Egypt, a grim map of death, carved into the very heart of the kingdom. When Isis returned to the marsh and found the coffin empty, her cries pierced the heavens. The world trembled, the winds wailed with her, and the Nile rose in mourning. But Isis was not the goddess of surrender. She was the goddess of life, magic, and the unbreakable bond of love. Driven by grief but guided by divine strength, she swore she would find every piece of Osiris, no matter how far they were scattered, no matter how deep Set had buried them. So once again, she set out across Egypt, this time joined by her faithful sister, Nephthys, the goddess of mourning and protection. Together, the two goddesses searched every riverbank and desert, every temple and tomb. Wherever they found a piece of Osiris, they buried it with reverence, marking it with a shrine. It's said that each of those sacred places became the foundation of Egypt's temples, symbols of resurrection and eternal life. And slowly, the god of the dead was made whole again. Set thought he had ended the story, but in truth, he had only begun it, because through his fury, he awakened something greater than death, the rise of Isis's magic, and the birth of vengeance that would come through their son, Horus. The betrayal was complete, the body was torn apart, but destiny was only beginning to take shape. The night was silent when Isis finally gathered all the pieces of her husband. The air shimmered with divine energy as she and her sister, Nephthys, wrapped the fragments of Osiris's body in linen, binding them with sacred spells whispered in a tongue older than time itself. And when Isis bent down to breathe life into him, her lips meeting his, something extraordinary happened. The air stirred, the sand trembled, and the god who had once ruled the living awoke again, if only for a moment. From that divine union, in the hush between life and death, a new life was conceived. A son, a god destined to restore balance to Egypt. His name would be Horus. Isis knew that Set would never allow this child to live. He had destroyed Osiris once, he would not hesitate to destroy his heir. So the goddess fled into hiding, retreating deep into the marshes of the Nile Delta, a labyrinth of papyrus reeds, far beyond the reach of Set's spies. There, in the shadow of the sacred Nile, under the watch of crocodiles and falcons, Isis gave birth to her son. The child cried out, his first breath echoing like thunder across the reeds, and at that moment, Egypt felt something it hadn't known in years: hope. Isis held her newborn close, whispering, "You will rise, my son. You will avenge your father. You will bring back the light." Life in hiding was not easy. The young god was vulnerable, and danger was everywhere. Set's agents, serpents, scorpions, and dark spirits, roamed the land, searching for the child foretold to defeat him. But Isis was no ordinary mother. She was a goddess of magic, and she used every spell, every drop of divine power to protect her son. When venomous creatures crept near, she whispered charms that turned poison to dust. When Horus fell ill, she sang the ancient healing hymns that restored life itself. And when the storms of Set raged across the sky, she spread her wings like a falcon and shielded her child beneath them. Even the people of Egypt began to pray to Isis, not just as the wife of Osiris, but as the protector of mothers and children. Through her, they learned that love itself was a form of magic. As Horus grew, he learned of his destiny. He was not merely the son of Osiris. He was the living embodiment of Ma'at, the cosmic order that Set had tried to destroy. The gods of wisdom and justice watched over him. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, taught him the power of truth and speech. Anubis, the guardian of the dead, guided him in the ways of the afterlife. And from the falcon soaring above, he learned vigilance and strength. Under the blazing Egyptian sun, Horus trained with spear and staff. He learned to control the winds, to read the signs of the stars, and to call upon the divine magic of his mother's bloodline. Each day, he grew stronger, his body forged by the desert, his will hardened by purpose. One night, as Horus meditated in the stillness of the marsh, a faint light shimmered before him, and from it emerged the spirit of Osiris, his father, wrapped in the glow of the underworld. Son of Isis, heir of Egypt, Osiris's voice echoed like distant thunder. Set believes he has won, but his reign of chaos cannot last. You must rise, restore what was lost, reclaim the throne that was stolen. Horus knelt before the ghostly figure, tears filling his eyes. Father, I will not fail you. And as the spirit faded back into the shadows of the afterlife, Horus's resolve turned to fire. From that moment, he was no longer a child. He was the falcon of vengeance, the avenger of Osiris, the rightful king of Egypt. When the gods saw that Horus had come of age, they summoned him to the celestial court. There, before Ra, the sun god himself, Horus stood to claim his birthright. He declared that Egypt was his father's kingdom and that Set's reign of chaos must end. The other gods murmured among themselves. Could the young falcon truly challenge the god of storms? Could balance ever be restored after so much bloodshed? But Isis believed, and so did Ma'at, the divine order itself. And so began the great confrontation that would shake heaven and earth. Horus versus Set, light versus darkness, order versus chaos. The birth and rise of Horus was more than a story of revenge. It was a story of renewal, the eternal truth that from death comes life, and from loss comes strength. Because in every sunrise, the Egyptians saw Horus's victory, a reminder that no matter how long the night lasts, the sun will always rise again. The years of waiting were over. The child hidden in the reeds had grown into a warrior, fierce, wise, and unyielding. Horus, son of Isis and Osiris, had come of age. And now, he would face the god who had murdered his father, the usurper of Egypt's throne, Set, lord of the desert, chaos, and storms. The sky darkened, the Nile raged, and for the first time since the age of creation, the gods themselves prepared to witness a war that would decide the fate of Egypt and the balance of the world. Before the first strike of battle, the gods gathered in the celestial court, a vast golden hall floating between earth and sky. Ra, the sun god, presided over the trial, surrounded by Thoth the wise, Anubis the silent, and the goddess Ma'at, who represented truth and balance. Set stood tall and proud, his crimson skin glowing with the fire of storms. Horus, his falcon eyes sharp with fury, stood before him, young but fearless. Ra spoke. Let the gods decide who is worthy to rule Egypt, the son of Osiris, or the one who seized the throne through blood. Set laughed, his voice rumbling like thunder. Worthy? I am the storm, I am the desert, I am power itself. But Horus answered, calm and unwavering, and yet, without the Nile, your desert is nothing but death. The council agreed. The trial would be decided through combat, divine against divine, chaos against order. And so, the war began. The first clash took place in the burning sands of the Red Land. Set commanded the storms, winds so violent they tore through dunes like blades. Lightning cracked across the sky as he summoned the fury of chaos itself. But Horus stood firm, wings unfurled, his body glowing with the golden light of Ra. He called upon the sky, and the falcons above cried in unison. Their shadows merged with his own, transforming him into a mighty falcon-headed warrior, his spear shining like the dawn. Their weapons clashed, thunder against sunlight, sending shockwaves across the land. Mountains trembled and the Nile recoiled from the sheer force of divine rage. For days they battled, neither yielding, neither dying. When the dust finally settled, Set fled into the desert, his fury unbroken. The first battle had ended in a draw. But Set was cunning. He challenged Horus again, proposing a different kind of contest, transformation. Both gods would take the shape of mighty beasts and fight to prove who was more powerful. Horus became a great falcon, swift, radiant, his wings cutting through the air like blades of sunlight. Set transformed into a monstrous red hippopotamus, a creature of brute strength and primal rage. They clashed in the waters of the Nile, their battle shaking the riverbed. Set's jaws snapped, creating whirlpools that swallowed boats whole. Horus struck from above, piercing the beast's hide again and again. The gods watching from the heavens gasped. The battle raged for days. But when Set tried to drag Horus into the depths, Isis intervened. From the riverbank, she cried out, "Mercy, Set. He is your nephew." But Horus, enraged by pity shown to his father's murderer, turned his wrath toward his mother. In his fury, he struck her down, then, realizing what he had done, wept in shame. It was a moment that showed even gods could break beneath the weight of vengeance. Set, seizing the chaos, attacked again, this time under the cover of darkness. He ambushed Horus as he rested, gouging out his left eye, the eye of Horus, the symbol of sight, wisdom, and protection. He shattered it, leaving Horus blind and broken. But the gods of order would not allow darkness to prevail. Thoth, the god of wisdom, descended to the battlefield. With divine magic, he healed the wounded eye, restoring not only Horus's vision but also his inner strength. That reborn eye became more than sight. It became a symbol, the Wedjot, the all-seeing eye that watches over Egypt, representing healing, balance, and eternal vigilance. With his power restored, Horus rose again. The war was far from over. After 80 years of conflict, yes, 80 years in divine time, the gods could bear it no longer. Ra called both Horus and Set to stand before him one last time. The council was divided. Some gods feared Set's chaos, others admired Horus's resilience. But then Isis appeared, weary, wounded, yet radiant. She knelt before Ra and spoke. Set brought death to Egypt. Horus brings life. The river, the crops, the sunrise, they live through him. Let the throne return to its rightful heir. The hall fell silent. Even Set could not speak. Finally, Ra raised his staff and declared, "Let it be known, Horus, son of Isis and Osiris, shall rule over the living. And Set, god of storms and deserts, shall dwell in the Red Land, guardian of chaos, forever separate from the fertile Nile." And so it was. Horus ascended the throne, wearing the double crown, symbol of Upper and Lower Egypt, restoring unity to the land. He became the living pharaoh, the bridge between gods and men. Set, banished but not destroyed, became the necessary chaos, the force that tests order, ensuring that balance endures. The war between Horus and Set was not just a fight for a kingdom. It was the eternal struggle between light and darkness, order and chaos, life and death. And through Horus's victory, the Egyptians learned that peace does not mean the absence of conflict. It means the mastery of it. In every temple, every sunrise, and every pharaoh that ruled after, the spirit of Horus lived on. The eye of Horus watched over Egypt, a promise that no matter how many times chaos rises, light will always return. The war was over. The sky cleared, the storms subsided, and the Nile once again flowed in peace. The balance of Egypt had been restored, not by destruction but by harmony. And in that harmony was born something eternal, something the Egyptians would worship for millennia. The Holy Trinity, Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Osiris, the once mortal ruler turned god, did not return to the throne of the living. His destiny now lay beyond, in the vast, shadowed halls of the underworld. There, he became the Lord of the Duat, the eternal judge of souls. In the ancient tombs, his image was carved upon walls, seated upon a golden throne, holding the crook and flail, symbols of kingship and divine authority. Every soul that entered the afterlife stood before him, heart in hand, to be weighed against the feather of Ma'at, truth and order. To the Egyptians, Osiris was not just a god of the dead, he was the promise of resurrection. He taught that death was not the end, but a passage, a transformation. And through him, they learned that life, like the Nile, would always return after the flood. Isis, the mother, the magician, the mourner, became the most beloved goddess in all of Egypt. Her name spread far beyond the borders of the Nile, whispered in temples from Nubia to Rome, from Alexandria to Athens. She was the symbol of eternal love, the one who defied death to rebuild what was lost. Her magic was not born of power alone, but of compassion, wisdom, and faith. Women prayed to her for fertility and protection. Sailors called upon her to calm the seas. Kings and commoners alike honored her as the Great Mother, the one who watched over every living being. Even when new empires rose and fell, her worship endured. For in Isis, humanity saw the divine reflection of every mother who weeps, protects, and heals. She was, and still is, the heart of Egypt's soul. And then there was Horus, the falcon, the sky, the living pharaoh. When he ascended the throne, Egypt entered an age of divine order. He ruled with justice, embodying Ma'at, the harmony of the universe. Every pharaoh who followed was considered the living Horus, the earthly manifestation of his power. When a king died, he became Osiris. When his son took the crown, he became Horus. Thus the cycle continued: life, death, and rebirth, the eternal rhythm of Egypt itself. Horus's eye, restored by Thoth, became the most sacred symbol of all, the Eye of Horus, representing healing, protection, and balance. It was painted on tombs, carved into amulets, and worn by kings and warriors alike. Even today, thousands of years later, it remains a universal symbol of divine sight, of watching, guiding, and protecting from beyond. Together, Osiris, Isis, and Horus formed the sacred Trinity. Father, Mother, and Son, not of flesh but of cosmic meaning. Osiris represented death and renewal, Isis represented love and magic, and Horus represented life and kingship. Their story wasn't just a myth, it was a mirror of the world itself. The sun rises, sets, and rises again, just as Osiris dies, descends, and is reborn through Horus. The Nile floods and recedes, giving life anew, just as Isis's tears restore the land. In every grain of sand, in every sunrise, the Egyptians saw this eternal cycle. The endless dance between death and rebirth, chaos and order, night and day. Centuries passed, pharaohs rose and fell, temples crumbled, and empires faded into dust. Yet the story of Osiris, Isis, and Horus never died. When the Greeks came, they saw in Isis the reflection of their Demeter. When the Romans arrived, they built temples for her that still stand today. And even in later faiths, echoes of their Trinity remained, the idea of divine family, of resurrection, of eternal love. Because myths may change names and faces, but their truths are eternal. In the silence of ancient tombs, you can still feel their presence. The murals still tell their story. Osiris in the underworld, Isis with her wings outstretched, and Horus soaring above them both. It is the story of life's greatest promise, that even in death, there is hope. That love can heal what hatred destroys. That light, no matter how long the night lasts, will always rise again. And so, the legend of the Egyptian Trinity endures, a timeless reminder that the gods were not just rulers of the heavens, but reflections of us, our fears, our loves, and our unending search for meaning in the cycles of life. Osiris, Isis, Horus, the king, the queen, the sun, death, love, and rebirth. The eternal Trinity, forever carved in the heart of Egypt, and in the soul of humanity. And so, the tale of Osiris, Isis, and Horus echoes through eternity, a divine cycle of death, love, and rebirth that shaped not only ancient Egypt but the very idea of kingship and the afterlife itself. Every sunrise over the Nile was more than just light breaking the horizon. It was Horus victorious once again, driving away the darkness of Set. Every tomb, every hieroglyph, every sacred chant whispered in the sands carried their names. Because to the Egyptians, life wasn't about avoiding death, it was about transcending it. And Osiris, Isis, and Horus proved that even gods are bound by love, loyalty, and destiny. If this story fascinated you, if you felt the power of ancient Egypt come alive once more, then hit that subscribe button and join us as we uncover more myths, mysteries, and forgotten legends that shaped our world. And remember, the gods might be silent now, but their stories? They never truly died. So, which myth should we explore next? Leave your ideas in the comments below, and together, we'll keep bringing the ancient world back to life.